Good day, class! So today, ang lesson natin ay using loops to process files. So why do we need loops in processing files? Because there are cases no, na kailangan natin mag-input ng maraming data. For example, names or numbers or sales. And then, ipaprocess natin or i-store natin using file. So instead of declaring lots of variables and writing long codes, no, long programs, now we are using loops to malesen yung code natin, no, para mapaikli yung codes natin. And this is much easier to use loops than declaring more variables, right? So this program gets sales amounts for a series of days from the user and writes those amount of file name sales.txt. So here is an example. Mag-enter tayo ng number of sales using loops to process our files. Yan, so hindi ko na tinype. So include iostream, include fstream using namespace std int main. Yan. So, ang sabi, mag-enter tayo ng number of days. So, nakadepende sa number of days na i-input ng user no, kung ilang beses ba dapat mag-ask ng sales yung ating program. No, so, for example, first pala, no, let us determine, are we going to read a file or are we going to write a data from a file? So, in this case, we are going to write a data to a file. No? Write data. Kasi mag-input tayo ng data sa program natin, then i-store natin sa isang text file. So, kapag mag-write tayo ng data, so what are we going to use? So, we'll be using upstream or output, then output file. And so, let's ask for how many do you have sales? Yan. So, ilang araw ka nga bang merong sales? So, since tinatanong ka kung ilang araw ka nga ba merong sales, so our program is asking for an input. So, you have to declare a variable para dun mo i-store yung data. Okay, so halimbawa, ang name ng variable natin is number of days. Number of days. So, ito yung gagamitin natin. Number of days. So, dyan siya may i-store. And then, no, it's time for us to open a file. So, output file dot open. So, what is the name of the file? So, for example, sales.txt. Ayan. So, dahil nakapag-open na tayo ng file, so it's time for us to use loops. No? For every day na in-enter mo dito, you have to input sales. Kailangan mo mag-type ng sales. Okay? For example, how many days do you have sales? You have 5. 5 days. So, ilan ang sales mo sa day 1? Ilan ang sales mo sa day 2, day 3, day 4, hanggang kaabot ka ng day 5. Okay, so instead of writing 5 variables no, para makapag-store ng data, so gagamit na lang tayo ng loop. Mas maikli pa sa codes. Okay? So, we'll be using for loop. Then, initialize count. We will start with 1. And count is hindi dapat lalampas dun sa number of days na in-input mo. So, i-base natin siya sa number of days. Number of days, then count plus plus. Yan. So, magtatanong na ulit tayo dito. Enter sales. For day, call natin yung count. Because count starts with 1, automatic. Unang enter natin ng sales ay para sa day 1. Ayan. Enter sales for day 1. Then in, kasi mag-input ka ng sales. So, another declaration variable here. Int sales. So, ilalagay mo dito ay sales. So, dito may store yung data natin. Then, what is the next step? So, dahil nakapag-input ka na ng sales for day 1 or day 2 and so on, now we have to write those data in a file named sales.txt. Okay, so how? So, let us call output file, and then using this symbol or using this operator, this string insertion operator that works like cout, no, kung ano yung magiging data nito, so yun yung papasok doon sa ating file. So ano nga ba i-store natin? Of course, the sales. No? So kung ano may ita-type natin dito, that will be written on our file. So lagay tayo ng end line. Then, kapag nag-terminate na yung ating loop, of course, we have to close the file. And, yun lang, return 0. And close. Ayan. So, ito na yung ating program. So, let's test. Yan. So, how many days do you have sales? Okay, lagyan natin ng ayan, ng statement na nakapag-write na tayo ng data dun sa ating file. For example, data has been written. Ayan. So, data has been written. So, let's see. How many days do you have sales? For example, we have 3 days. Sales natin for day 1 ay, so ito na yung looping. No? So, that means I entered 3, no, meaning tatlong beses maglo-loop yung ating for loop. For example, I entered 23, 34, and 45. Data has been written. So, let's see kung talaga bang naka-store na yung data natin dun sa file with the name sales.txt. Okay, so we have sales.txt here. Let's see. Okay, so we have 23, 34, and 45. So, pumasok siya. No? So, let's try another example. Close natin to. Okay, so for how many days you have sales? 5. Enter D1. Ang sales mo kunwari ay 900, 800, 700, 70, 670, 680. Okay, data has been written. So, let's see kung na-update na yung sales natin. Okay, so the previous data was erased, has been erased, and na-update na siya, no? Yung latest value ang nakalagay dito sa loob ng file. So, ganun gumagana yung loops in processing our files. Yan, so yan yung ating codes. So, let's proceed with the next topic. Yan, user-specified file name. So, actually, pwedeng ikaw mismo as a user yung mag-enter ng file. For example, you have lots of files, no, in your PC or in a folder. And gusto mo lang i-open and ang ma-retrieve na data ay isa lang. No, isang file lang yung gusto mong i-open. So, ikaw na yung mag-input ng file name. No? So, a program can prompt the user to enter names of input and output files. So, this makes your program more versatile because it can open any file as long as you know the file name and tama yung pagkaka-input natin, so mabubuksan mo siya using your C++ program. Ayan, so let's try again an example. Ayan. So, ayan. So, ganun pa rin. No? So, alamin na natin yung purpose. So, ang gagawin ba natin is to read or to write? Ano ba yung gagawin? So, ang gagawin kasi natin is to retrieve data coming from the file na tinype ng user. Okay, so automatically, read data tayo ngayon. So, anong gagamitin natin? If stream or upstream? So, basically, it is if stream. If stream, input file, and then we have to add string variable wherein doon natin i-store yung file name na ita-type ng user. So, string file name. So, now let's ask a question. Now, which file name? Which file name? Anong file name ba yung bubuksan? Anong pangalan? Okay? So, dahil nagtatanong ka and you need an input, so let's add cin. Saan natin i-store yung ita-type ng user, kung anong file. So, i-store natin siya sa file name. Ayan. So, which name? Cin file name. So, it's time for us to open a file. So, input file.open. Yan. But instead of quoting a name of a certain file, no, ang ilalagay natin is yung variable na. So, kung ano man yung laman nito, kung ano man yung file name na tinype ng user, so yun yung i-open ng ating program. Okay, file name. And then if, ang gagawin kasi natin is to retrieve all the data that is written on that certain file name. So, instead na isa-isa natin tawagin, so, gagamit na lang tayo ng loops. Input file. So, anong loops na gagamitin natin? We can use while loop. While loop. Ayan. So, before we write the condition here, now we need another storage to display the data that is written on that certain file name. So, kung puro numbers yung kailangan mong i-retrieve na data, so we can use integer, then declare a variable number. So, if it is a string or a series of letters or characters, now we can use string. No? Declare tayo ng string variable. But in our case, the data that we'll retrieve is numbers. Okay, so gamit tayo ng integer. So, while input file number, ayan. Ayan. So, dahil number yung kailangan nating i-read na data, no? So, dineclare natin siya as integer. So, cout number. So, ito na yung i-display natin yung data na nakalagay dun sa file na yun. Cout number and line. So, bakit tayo merong if? Bakit kaya merong if? So, just in case no, na nagkamali si user sa pag-input ng file name or there is no existing file name na hinahanap ni user or nagkamali siya ng spelling or may kulang na letters, no? So, at least merong magno-notify sa kanya, may magno-notify na error yung tinype niya at hindi mahanap ni C++ yung file na hinahanap niya. Okay? That's why, now we have to add the condition else. Paano tong else? So, if ever na wala sa tinype niya yung hinahanap niyang file, kumbaga mali yung na-type niya, mali spelling, or hindi naman talaga existing yung hinahanap niya na file, so at least merong mag-a-appear na error. Halimbawa ay error opening the file. Kasi wala, hindi makita. So, since nandito na rin tayo sa if kanina dito sa taas, so pwedeng dito pa lang, kapag na-retrieve na natin lahat ng data na nakasulat doon, no, pwede na natin i-close yung file. So, input file, close, and done. And then, return 0. Yan. So, ito yung ating code. So, the first step, no, magtatanong ng file name. Then, kapag existing yung file name na yun, yung in-enter ni user, so, i-retrieve niya, ilalabas niya lahat ng data, and then, i-close niya. So, if ever na wala yung file name na hinahanap ni user, ito yung mag-appear. Error opening the file. So, let's see. So this is another case. Okay, so let's go back dito sa ating topic. Okay, so using the CSTR member function in older version of C++. So kasi, no, in older version of C++, no, file stream object's open member function will not accept a string object as an argument. So there is nothing wrong with our code, but ang ginagamit lang kasi natin yung older version ng C++. No, kaya hindi niya tinatanggap yung string, ordinary string lang na object, such as our variable file name. Okay, so ano gagawin natin? Now, string literals are stored in memory such as null-terminated C strings, but string objects are not. So what are we going to do? Fortunately, string objects have a member of function named CSTR that returns the contents of the object formatted as a null-terminated C string. So if ever, no, na older version ng C++ yung ginagamit natin, katulad ng sa akin, na hindi niya tinatanggap itong file name lang, so we can add a string function. So, ano yung function na yun? Yun yung CSTR. So, the first step no, is to add another header file no, to accept string functions. Yan. So, include string and then file name.cstr. File name.cstr. Pero kung sakali na sa ginagamit nyong C++ version ay tinanggap itong file name, so okay na yun. Kahit hindi nyo na siya lagyan ng ganito. So, let's see kung gagana na yung program natin. Okay, so gumana na siya. So, which file name? Anong file name yung hinahanap natin? So, tingin tayo dito. C++ demofile.txt. So, open nga natin tong sales.txt. Close natin to. Yan. Open natin yung sales.txt. So, titingnan natin kung mariretrieve niya yung data na nakasulat din sa sales.txt. Okay. So, na-retrieve niya yung laman. So, let's see kung tama nga. Okay. Yan. So, tama, no? 900, 870, 670, and 680. So, na-retrieve niya nga yung data. So, what will happen kapag nagkamali tayo ng pag-type ng file name? Example. Halimbawa, nalagay ko lang ay sales. Wala yung .text kasi nakalimutan ko. Hindi ko alam na kailangan pala siya. So, let's enter. Yon. So, dun na lumabas yung error opening the file dun sa else statement natin. Kasi hindi niya ma-recognize yung in-input natin na data. Hindi niya ma-locate. Saan ba tong sales na to? Existing ba to? So, if wala, No? Tsaka niya i-display yung error opening the file. Yan. So, yun lang naman yung mga kailangan nating tandaan na when we are processing files, how to use loops, and how to add user-specified file names. Ayan. So, I hope you learned something dun sa pagpaprocess natin ng files. No, simula sa una. So, medyo complicated siya, but if you learn from this video, so, yun, I'll be glad. And, yun, if you have questions, kindly PM me on Messenger. So, yun lang naman. So, that would be all. Thank you.